Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about the FJ, but more specifically awnings. Stay tuned. Alright guys, so today I wanted to talk about the smittybilt awning. But before I do into that, just to put some things out there, I just had rotator cuff surgery, so I have my beautiful wife back there behind the camera. And I kind of have this notebook with me just to make sure I don't forget any of my thoughts. But the smittybilt awning, I kind of wanted to talk about that just due to the fact that there are a lot of awnings coming onto the market, and I will be upgrading, and I actually have one here that I'll be showing you guys very shortly, that I'll be upgrading to. But before I talk about the upgrade, I wanted to talk about the one that has served me well over the years, and then some of the pros and cons that go into this awning. So I'm going to start off with some of the issues. So one of the things I cannot stand about this awning is that it is extremely difficult to set up with one person. And then that problem becomes compounded when you're trying to set it up in the wind. These legs and the side of the tent just become a parachute, and it makes it extremely hard to set up. One of the other issues I'm having with this awning is, even though it's like a 6 foot by 6.5 foot awning, one of the things that is a problem is that it doesn't actually provide that much shade. And what I mean by that is if you're camping from morning till night, in the early morning hours of the day and then in the late afternoon of the day, the sun shines right underneath this awning. So it makes it extremely hard to actually stay cool in the peak of the summer or just on a really warm camping day. For example, me and my brother and my dad were down at the Pueblo drag strip racing our cars. We had the car set up right outside of the awning and 3 chairs underneath the awning, and we can only fit 3 chairs in the shade in the late afternoon because the sun was shining directly underneath the awning. So in reality, even though it's 6.5 foot long, you don't actually get that much shade, which is another reason I'm kind of looking to go away from this. So this is a pro and a con. It's made out of aluminum, so it's extremely light. But due to the fact that it's extremely light, one of the things you always have to carry with you when using this awning is some sort of ratchet strap with something heavy to tie it down to. Now this isn't normally how I do it, but this is just how I do it when I'm here at the house, just to kind of show you guys the point. It's so light that if you don't have anything to tie it down to, this thing again will turn into a parachute. And that's exactly what happened to me when I was camping down at the Pueblo Reservoir. I had it tied down to something, but the wind still picked it up, so the weight I was using wasn't heavy enough, but it bent this pole right here. And due to the fact that it bent this pole, the legs in here that tighten when you spin this bar to the left or the right to set it in place actually broke inside of this pole. So my quick fix was just using a hose clamp to still hold this pole in place so that I could still use the awning itself. But this pole is bent and the piece inside of it is broken, and the wind was really not that strong. So you always have to have both sides of this thing secured when you're using it. The last thing is, when I was camping in Colorado out in Ouray and Telluride, I did a 7-day trip out there, I believe, and it rained like 90% of that trip. So what ended up happening is, if you come around here, there's a rail right here, if you can get that, babe. There's a rail right here on the inside that this tent itself slides into, and you can see that it's pulling away from that. The reason for that is because it was raining pretty significantly, and the rain pooled in this corner and slowly started pulling the roof itself out of this track. So rainwater, what I've started to do is you just lower one leg to let it run off, but that's kind of annoying when you're trying to stand up underneath an awning, you know, on a camping trip and cook under here, or just get out of the weather and you have to have one side tilted down to let the rain come off. So it's just one other thing that I wasn't too fond of when using this. However, I have had this awning on here for better part of 3 years at this point in time, and it's kept me dry. So with this thing being waterproof, it has kept me pretty dry. However, it just doesn't throw enough shade for me. And with all the new upgrades and the awnings that are hitting the market now, it only makes sense to upgrade for me. So now kind of getting into some more of the pros of this thing. It's a very simple install. If you come check out what we did, we just ran bolts right through the housing of it. You can see them right up here, right into the side of the roof rack, and this thing hasn't moved. So extremely easy to mount. It did come with brackets, but that's just how me and my family decided to mount this thing to the side of my truck. Just because we kind of ran out of real estate on the top of the truck due to the rooftop tent. Two other pros for this is when coming into the camping overlanding scene, I didn't have that much money. Everything you see on this truck was paid for out of my own pocket. So this awning, I think, is like right around 280 bucks, if I remember correctly. It's not a super expensive awning to get you a little bit of real estate out there for when it's like raining, so you have somewhere to take cover under when it does rain or snow, depending upon where you're living. And other than that, this was a very good beginner awning for me. Like I said, it served me well. It gave me enough space to kind of get out of the rain on some of the rainier trips that I was on. But now, one of the biggest reasons I'm looking to upgrade, again, is, as I'm sure you guys have seen when you come around the back of my truck, is I do have a camp kitchen in the back of my truck. So now I'm looking for some sort of 270 awning that will not only cover the back of the truck, but this whole side. So I'm looking for a little bit more real estate and something with lights underneath it that'll light camp while we're at camp. So that's where I'm at. I just kind of wanted to give you guys a quick update before I go ahead and take this awning off of the truck, and then we'll get into the new one.